First, a prayer. Vamshi vibhushidakarat navaneradabhat vidambarat arunabimba bhaladharoshthat purnendu sundaramukhat aravinda netrat krishnat param kimapi tattvamaham na jane. Krishnat param kimapi tattvamaham na jane. I know none other than Krishna. I want nothing other than Krishna. I want to go nowhere other than the abode of Krishna. Vamshi vibhushidakarat navaneradabhat vidambarat arunabimba bhaladharoshthat purnendu sundaramukhat aravinda netrat krishnat param kimapi tattvamaham na jane. Krishna, the most beautiful, the blue boy of Vrindavan. Dressed in yellow robes, a peacock feather tucked on his headband, a coal dancing on his forehead. Playing on his flute amidst the dancing and transfixed gopis and cows. On a moonlit night, under the Kadamba tree, on the banks of the Jamuna. That is all what I want. Nothing else. To join that Rasa Leela, the dance of bliss and beauty. Hari Om. So today, we shall be discussing the nature of beauty, which gives you aesthetic pleasure. And our choices are based upon our sensitivity to beauty. Of course, we have seen other factors of choice making. The ontic choices. The ontic. Our understanding of what is the truth. Then the epistemic. Our understanding of creating knowledge. Because without knowledge you cannot act. Also ethical. Our knowledge of what is right and wrong. All these influences our choices. But there is one more factor, very important, which influences our choice. Because our life is a series of choice making. Our destiny is made up the choices we make. We know all that. The quality of our life depends upon the choices we make. But these choices are made based upon certain understanding. Ethical, epistemic, and ontic. Ontic means our understanding of the basic nature of reality. So our sensitivity to beauty also plays a very important role. Isn't it? Suppose when you are buying a car, of course, its function is very important. Its utility is important. But you also look for a beautiful car, isn't it? A well-designed, a beautiful car. And you are ready to make an extra payment for it. Similarly, when you buy a house, apart from its functionality and utility, you also look for the design of the house. Whether it is a house or a costume or a computer or a car, or when you are looking for a partner, you want a beautiful person, handsome husband or beautiful wife. I mean, your idea of beauty may change. What you think beautiful may not be what I think beautiful. Because as somebody said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, but the fact remains that we all are looking for the beauty. And some people think thin-lipped, long-haired, straight-haired, aquiline nose is beautiful. Some people think long neck, thick lips, those and sling eyes, these are beautiful. So you may have different ideas of beauty, but you are ready to make a price for the beauty. So beautiful, the beauty is very important aspect of our choice making. Nobody wants to go for an ugly thing, for a vulgar object. So therefore, it's very important that we reflect upon the nature of beauty. Because it influences our choices. That's why we are reflecting upon the nature of beauty. Here we said in the prayer, Krishna is the most beautiful. Krishna is very beautiful. And the description of Krishna is marvelous, majestic, lovely. That's why this devotee said, I don't need anybody other than Krishna. I don't want to go anywhere other than the company of Krishna. Krishna playing on the flute, Krishna dancing on the hood of the serpent. And you are ready to sacrifice everything for that. You are ready to make any payment for that. So therefore, beauty is a very important factor in our choice making and the quality of our life. Even when you go to a restaurant, you need a well-appointed restaurant, isn't it? A beautiful restaurant with a little bit of piped music and young boys and girls dancing around and sitting on their knees and then asking you questions in a beautiful voice. You like all that. So what is beauty? That is the question we are asking today. It is so attractive. As somebody said, I asked the mulberry tree, what is beauty? And the mulberry tree bloomed, it seems. I asked the dancer, what is beautiful? And the dancer broke into a dance. I asked the sun, what is beautiful? And the cloud burst into a million rainbows. I asked Mark Spinks, he's the greatest swimmer, and he dived into the swimming pool and splashed around. So these are all beautiful things. And so what exactly is beauty? These are all beautiful things. And when you are in the company of those beautiful things, or when you observe beautiful things, what happens to you? You miss a heartbeat, isn't it? For example, you're in front of Taj Mahal. Sorry. You are in front of Taj Mahal. You miss a heartbeat. You stop breathing. And you say, I have arrived. I have nowhere to go. I don't want to go anywhere. And you want to take a picture. Then you look for your camera. And you forgot the camera in the car, taxi car. Then thoughts come to you. Then you start cursing everyone. Then you climb down from that peak of beautiful experience, isn't it? So the experience of beauty is where the mind becomes still, where the body becomes transfixed, and something great surges into your mind. And you feel, I have arrived. When you see a beautiful face, a vision, and you stand still and look at that face. Or when you see let's say the Grand Canyon, that majestic boom of the earth, as they say. When you see that Grand Canyon, it's huge and mighty. It's not like a lily. A lily also is beautiful, very lovely. A rose, very lovely and very beautiful. But when you see in the Grand Canyon or the Himalayas, when you're lost like a ant in the mighty Himalayas, what do you experience? You feel you have arrived. You are at home. So beauty gives you such a experience. What you call rasa. Beauty gives you such an experience of rasa, where you feel you are arrived. This is my home. Here is where I want to be. So beauty is not a means to something. Beauty is an end in itself. Because when you see something beautiful or experience something beautiful, you say, this is where I want to be. I don't want to go anywhere else. Therefore, I said, beauty is an end in itself. When you say beautiful, actually it means only full of beauty. Beautiful seems to be an adjective of something. Like when you say flower is beautiful, it seems that it's a property of that flower. So this question also arises. What exactly is beauty and what is the locus of that beauty? Some people say the object, beauty is objective. It is a property of the object. So first we understand we all are sensitive to beauty and the beautiful. And when we see something beautiful, we are satisfied. We feel that we are arrived. These things we have to understand. Now the question is that, what is the locus of beauty? Some people say the locus of beauty is the object. When you see a beautiful flower, the flower is beautiful, so beauty is abiding in the object. Some people say beauty because then the question is that if beauty is in the object, then everybody should appreciate the same object. Because our taste, binnar vijayaha, our tastes are different. You feel this is beautiful, other person feels the other thing is beautiful. One person divorces his wife, another person marries that person. Isn't it? So, if you say beauty is in the object, the measure and the proportion and the design and the placement of things, of course, objectively, beauty means measure, proportion, arrangement, and the placement of things, isn't it? The dining table. how the dishes are arranged, how the vegetable is cut, and how they are placed. These are all beautiful things. So arrangement also has got a certain beauty about it. Or the placement of things. For example, if you put your tilak or between your eyebrows, then it is beautiful. Suppose if it is put somewhere on the side of the forehead, it is ugly, isn't it? So where you place things. Others say Nakha, Shikha and Nara, Sosthane Shobhande. Nakha, Shikha, Nara, Sosthane Shobhande. Nakha means the nail. Shikha means your hair. Nara means an individual, a person. Sosthane, in their place, they are beautiful. If the hair is in your head, it is beautiful, isn't it? If it falls in the food, this I don't know. See, in nail, you can grow nail, you can paint the nail, you can cut it beautifully. It's beautiful. But the nail falls in your teeth, it's not good. Similarly, human beings, individuals, you all shine in your own respective places. Outside that place, you have no value. If Joe Biden sits in the White House, he has got value, isn't it? He is working on the road like a commoner, nobody recognizes that person. So everybody becomes valuable in their own respective places. So these are all true. There is a certain objective aspect to beauty, arrangement, order, proportion, measure. So some people say beauty is in the object, it is objective. And when you see such object, you feel having come home and you are ready to make a play for it. Some other people say beauty is not in the object, it's a state of mind. When you are in the state of mind, anything looks beautiful for you. For example, if you are not in a good mood and you open the window and see the sunrise, you say, hell with it. I want to continue to sleep. So sunrise becomes beautiful when you are in a beautiful state of mind. Or a moonrise. Beautiful. When you are in a beautiful state of mind. Otherwise, the sunrise and the moonrise will make you depressed more. So according to some people, beauty is the property of the mind. When you are in a state of mind, beautiful state of mind, everything is beautiful. When you are not in a beautiful state of mind, nothing is beautiful for you. You want to sit like a worm, like a question mark in a corner of your house. You don't want to talk to anyone. Is that true? Is that true? If you analyze it, if beauty is in the state of mind, you should be able to create that state of mind all the time. But we are not able to do that. We are not able to do that. So we cannot say, so you can create that state of mind with effort, but you are not able to do that all the time. Then what is the source? If beauty is in the mind, then you must be able to experience beauty all the time. So beauty is not a state of mind and you cannot command that state of mind all the time. Then where is beauty? So we say beauty is your nature. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. This beauty is not a physical beauty. The beauty is the beauty of the soul, the Atma. That is why we say Mahatma Gandhi was a most beautiful person. Physically, he was the ugly person, wasn't it? Long ears and round glasses and a toothless mouth and weighing only 100 pounds. Mahatma Gandhi apparently, objectively, is not beautiful. But you say Gandhi was the most beautiful person in spite of all this. And he is draped in a loincloth. long legs and long hands. There is no measure or proportion. And skinny body. And still you say Mahatma Gandhi was very beautiful. Not because of his body or his knowledge. He was not a poet. He was not an actor. He was not a sports person. But still we say Mahatma Gandhi was very beautiful. Because the beauty of his soul shone through his actions and his words. When he was sitting on a charka, spinning on a charka with great concentration, you say, aha, here is a most beautiful person. That is why the lady from Britain, Meera, her name, Gandhi gave her name Meera. He left everything and came to India and lived in a little hut so that she can look at Mahatma Gandhi all the time. She thought, I have arrived. Actually, she wanted to go to Beethoven's birthplace because she was a connoisseur of music. On the way, she met Romain Rolland. And Romain Rolland said, why do you want to go to Beethoven? He is already done and gone. Is he no more composing? No, he is decomposing now. Beethoven is decomposing, not composing. So why do you go there? Here is a living Christ, he said. He is the most beautiful person. His whole life is a music. He is a living music, Mahatma Gandhi. So she cancelled her ticket to Switzerland and she came to India and spent the rest of her life in India, gazing at Mahatma Gandhi. And that was her fulfillment, her sayujyam, her fulfillment. I would call it that is an aesthetic pleasure she had. And she was ready to sacrifice everything for that. Aesthetic pleasure, not hedonistic pleasure. Hedonistic pleasure is just eating and drinking and smoking and then all that. Here is aesthetic pleasure. Just to watch. Just as when you watch a valley unfolding in front of you. Those are driven from LA to Las Vegas. You must be driving through mountains. And then suddenly you see something, a sea of diamonds exploding in front of you. Have you seen that? And your heart stops there. You see, wow, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. So there you are only observing it. You are not consuming it. Of course, when you eat food, or relying on a comfortable bed, or sitting with a person, rubbing your shoulders with that person, you may get some kind of a satisfaction or pleasure. But that's called hedonistic pleasure. That is tiresome after some time. But when you observe things, like a landscape, or a moonrise, or children playing, or when you dedicate yourself to a great cause, what you get is aesthetic pleasure. So Mahatma Gandhi was a most beautiful person. It is not his physical beauty, or his assets, or the palace in which he was living. He was living in a hut, but he was beautiful. Not only Mahatma Gandhi, look at Socrates. Socrates was the ugliest person in the world physically. But Plato dedicated his whole life to write about Socrates. And he wouldn't come to an end writing about Socrates. So, according to some, beauty is not in the object. Because people can differ about it. Beauty is not in the state of mind. Because mind is fluctuating and changing all the time. Really, beauty is the nature of your soul. Doesn't matter whether you're old or young or sick or physically challenged. As long as you are holding on to the soul, the Atma, so long you remain beautiful. Not only you remain beautiful, you see everything as beautiful. The mitrasya chakshusha itchamahe. You have to see with the eye of beauty. You yourself must be beautiful. Isn't it that theory? If I am okay, everything is okay. If I am not okay, nothing is okay. And I will not let anything to be okay also. That also is there. If I am not okay. So if I am not happy, then the whole world is unhappy. And I will not let anybody to be happy. I find a vicarious pleasure in seeing everything is unhappy. Everybody is unhappy. So that I have good company. Isn't it? So Mahatma Gandhi was beautiful. Socrates was beautiful. Krishna was beautiful. Of course, Krishna's beauty seeped into his physical body and the way he dresses. Even Mahatma Gandhi, the way he dresses was beautiful. When he met the Queen of England, she said, "Oh, this man he's a beggar. He has got very little clothes." Then Gandhi retorted, "But you compensate for my limited clothes, because the queen was elaborately dressed and looked very ugly." For Gandhi in his past. That's why Schumacher said, small is beautiful. Small is beautiful. Less is beautiful. Not more. No, not more. A peacock is beautiful. Of course, it's luxurious plume and it's beautiful. At the same time, a little dove also is beautiful. So beauty is a property of the soul. And once you recognize your soul, your Atma, then you see everything as beautiful. The whole universe as beautiful. Think of that. That's why they say there are 3 types of aesthetic pleasure or pleasure. Because when you are in the company of a beautiful person or a beautiful object or a beautiful scenery, what you experience is pleasure. In Sanskrit we call it rasa. Raso vesaha, rasagukevayam labdo anandi bhavadi. So beauty is rasa, because beauty is end in itself. Beauty is not a means to something. When you are in the company of beautiful object, or when you recognize your own beauty, what you experience is rasaswada. And the nature of the Atman is rasa. That's why raso vaisaha. Rasagukevayam labdo anandi bhavadi. And when you recognize your Atman, and how do you recognize? We'll be coming a little later. When you recognize your Atman, then you are in the sea of bliss. You are overjoyous. And everything is beautiful for you. So when you eat well, when you have warmth and food and sex and all that, then there is a kind of pleasure. That pleasure is fleeting. It is not absolute pleasure. So first of all, let us understand, beauty is an end in itself. It is not a means to something else. It gives you pleasure. A pig also gains pleasure, isn't it? A pig also, when it plunging into a mound of, let us say, dirt, and then it is inside it, and it is wagging his tail and enjoying that filth. It also gets a pleasure. It's a vulgar pleasure. It is very vulgar. It is very base pleasure. We human beings are not satisfied with that. We are not satisfied with it because we get bored with it. But when you see, as I said, so this is called hedonistic pleasure. So beauty gives you pleasure. But what kind of pleasure beauty gives? It is not hedonistic pleasure. Hedonistic means in indulgence. When you indulge, you get pleasure. That is not the pleasure that we are looking for. Then there's another kind of pleasure when you watch a moonrise, as I said. When you see a valley, a beautiful painting for which you are ready to make a price. Or when you contemplate on philosophical questions. So when you watch nature, a beautiful tree or a flower or a moonrise or a sunrise or a valley or the ocean or the Himalayas, you are not consuming that, are you? You are not eating Himalayas. You are not eating the painting. What are you doing? You are only observing. You are only watching. You are only being in the company of that. You are only gazing it. And that pleasure is more lasting and deeper and fulfilling than eating food. So that is the kind of pleasure human beings are seeking. That is why we are different from a pig. This pleasure gives you a deeper enjoyment. So this nature is called God's creation. That's why you are enjoying it. Then man-made objects are there, like a painting or a poetry or a novel or a drama. Isn't it? Don't you enjoy when you watch a drama, a movie, or read a poetry? The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have miles to go before I sleep. When you read that, you feel a kind of pleasure. That pleasure is simply by reading it, contemplating upon it, and the dhoni in it, the metaphor employed in it. Or a painting, when you look at a painting, a beautiful painting, it's a metaphor. A painting is a metaphor. A metaphor for what you experienced. As words were said, poetry is experience recollected in tranquility. You experience nature, and that experience is recollected in tranquility. Then it comes out of poetry. And when you read that poetry, you experience the same pleasure, isn't it? You are not consuming poetry. You are not eating poetry. You are only enjoying it. You are only reading it. Or you are watching a movie, let us say, or a play. That pleasure is much more than the pleasure of eating or drinking or smoking. Because you are simply watching. So when you watch a play, or read a poetry, or read a novel, or see a painting, these are called metaphorized experiences. Because you had a first-hand experience, a poet, then he contemplates upon that, and then he recreates something. This is called man-made beautiful things. And when you read that, there is pleasure. Then you go through the Ramayana, let's say, Ramayana, Mahabharata. These are all recreation of our own experience. And when we read that, when we read Ramayana, though it is a recreation of your experience, you are still detached from that, isn't it? Sita is suffering, Sita was abducted, Ravana is cruel, and Rama is Dharmatma. When you read all that, you go through, your mind go through all this, but you are detached from that. So I would call it a detached engagement. So aesthetic pleasure is gained when you are engaged but detached. You're watching the movie. You're sitting in the comfortable, let us say, in your chair, and you're watching the movie, and you watch the movie or the play, your mind goes through all the emotions. What are the emotions? There are rasas. That is called vibhavas or bhavas or rasas. In Sanskrit literature, we talk about 9 rasas or 10 rasas. When you watch a movie, one rasa you experience is Sringara rasa, erotic pleasure. Some movies are so much concentrated on that, erotic pleasure. And then you experience a Sringara, hasya, sometimes you laugh. Isn't it when you watch? You're laughing. And that gives you a pleasure. And then hasya. Then there is karuna, compassion. Certain scenes create compassion in you. So Sringara, hasya, don't sit and sleep when the play is going on. Then nothing will happen. You're unnecessarily making a payment there. You have to involve, you have to watch it. When you watch, your mind go through these bhavas or vibhavas or rasas. So the Sringara rasa, the hasya rasa, laughter, or vatsalya. You feel a motherly love, a parental love. Which wells up in your heart. Or shanta, you become very calm and contemplate certain scenes. When you watch certain scenes, you become calm and contemplate. Or raudra, you become furious, isn't it? When you see a movie where a child is beaten by the police, or a black man is beaten by the police, the feeling you get is raudra, you are furious. Or vira, sometimes you feel heroic. This is great, I can do this. Or adbhuta, wonder. Certain scenes create that feeling of wondering. Or jugupsa, or what they call bibhasa, you feel robotic. You feel vomiting. You feel recoiling. Gruesome, grotesque. So these are the emotions that the playwright creates in you. But at the same time, you know you are not involved in it. That is the beauty. That's the beauty. You're only watching it. You're not involved in it. And when you watch it without involvement, then what you get is what is called rasa or aesthetic pleasure. And we pay money for that, isn't it? We are ready to pay a price for watching a movie or a play or a painting, or we spend a time reading a novel. And you say, I got pleasure. I really enjoyed the novel. It was gripping novel. And here you make a choice. You're ready to buy that novel. Not only buy it, you buy another 10 copies and distribute to your friends. And you're ready to make that payment price. So when we go through a play or a novel or a poetry or we watch a painting, what happens is you're observing. And when you observe it and go through these various bhavas or emotions or moods without getting involved, then you feel a great joy. And I would call such a person an educated person, a cultured person. An uneducated, cultured person cannot enjoy a dance or a movie or a painting. He's not interested. He'll sleep. But you, being a human being, a cultured, educated person, These things give you great joy. And you feel, I can keep watching this. So there is hedonistic pleasure, bhoga sukha. There is aesthetic pleasure, an educated man's, cultured person's joy. Then there is another pleasure. When you watch your own emotions, as we have seen this, 9 emotions or 10 emotions as you go through. So you are experiencing the world. When you experience the world, this mind is going through these emotions. And if you are able to watch those emotions also, you are able to, earlier you are only going through this emotion. And the poet or the playwright or the novelist or the painter is creating that emotions in you without getting involved in it. And then there is a pleasure. There is a joy in that. Now there is a greater joy, greater pleasure. This is the third level of pleasure. First level of pleasure is just indulging in the world. And the world is beautiful, of course. It gives you pleasure. Second level of pleasure is going through these emotions without involving it. I hope you appreciate that, which is called aesthetic pleasure. And we are ready to pay price for it. We are ready to make choice. Otherwise, you won't be buying a painting, you won't be buying a movie ticket, you won't be going for a play, you don't be going for a vacation on the mountains or the seashore. You won't be doing that. Human beings need that nourishment. And your choices are depending upon your sensitivity to these beautiful things. And we are ready to make a payment, we are ready to sacrifice ourselves for that. And then there is a third level of pleasure or fulfillment or beauty. What is that third level? You are also, while you are watching the movie, as those emotions go through, you are watching those emotions also. And in that state, you are abiding in yourself. That is how to abide in yourself. When you abide in yourself, and then watch your emotions, and then the emotions relating to the world. So, 2 levels of watching is there. Watch the world, and the world create emotions in you, or vrittis, as Patanjali says. The Natya Shastra says emotions. Patanjali says vrittis. When you can watch that also, then you abide in yourself. And that state is called Atma Sukham, or aesthetic or spiritual pleasure. Spiritual pleasure or spiritual bliss. This is possible for everybody. Because enjoying things, you need the eyes and ears, or you have to be youthful, you need money. Then alone you can enjoy the other things. Here, you are old and decrepit and nothing, no money, no health. You are not able to read a novel because your eyesight is poor. You are not able to listen to Beethoven because your hearing capacity is gone. You are not able to go to a picnic because you cannot walk. Your knee is giving you problems. At that time, what will I do? Angam velidam palidam tundam dashanabihinam jadam tundam vruddho yadi grihitva dandam tadavinu munjatyasha pindam. As Shankaracharya says, your teeth is fallen, teeth are fallen, eyesight is gone and hair gone all grey and then the wrinkles on your face and you cannot walk because knee and all that. But then you want to enjoy outside. This is a piteous state, he says. Therefore, Once you recognize your natural beauty of the soul, it doesn't matter where you are or how you are physically, you are always in bliss. This state continues all the time, whether you are old or young, rich or poor, black or white, man or woman, educated or uneducated. Once you are in that state, that is why it said, Atman is the most beautiful. Atman is the most beautiful. God is the most beautiful because Atman and God are the same. Jiva Brahma Aikyam, we have seen in the talks on Brahma. Krishna is the most beautiful. And where is Krishna? Krishna is my Atman. Krishna is my nature. So when I discover I am the most beautiful, that is why it is said, Raso Vaisaha, Atman is pure rasa. Yajnavalkya said, you love that Atman. Atman, because it is so beautiful. If it is not beautiful, you will not love it. Because all our love is for the most beautiful, isn't it? So when Yajnavalkya said, Atma is the Atma Vare Shodavyaha Mantavyaha Nitidya Sadavyaha. Because Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. You love everything for that Atman. Your soul, your spirit. So how do I realize it? I realize by observing the world, by observing the various states of emotion that it creates in my mind. And when I observe that also, then I am in a state of bliss. This bliss is called Atma Sukham or Yogaja Sukham. In epistemic talk, I talked about Yogaja Drishti. Yoga Drishti. Here we are talking about Yoga Sukham, the bliss and the delight of being in the self. When you are in the self, then you are in a contemplative state. So when you are in detached engagement, so you are not afraid of these various emotions that comes into your mind, or you are not afraid of the changing world. What is most important is, are you abiding in your self? And by abiding in the self and interacting with the world, and that state is called Advaita, the oneness. Because any state of bliss is state of oneness. Duality creates fear, isn't it? Duality creates desire. So when you see something beautiful, your desire ends. And you have no desire to possess it and control it and manipulate it. You don't want to control the sunrise or the moonrise or the rainbows. So in that state of bliss, there is no desire to control, but only to observe. In that state of bliss, there is no desire. Satuna kamayamana, Narada Bhakti Sutra says. There is no further desire to possess. You know, when the children are playing, sometimes you feel to grab the child, keep the child close. Then the child says, Mommy, I am leaving. It's better let them play and watch. That's more pleasurable. So in that state of detachment, yoga, which is called yoga, and when you see, as you have seen, when you see something beautiful, you are stunned and transported into a transcendental level, isn't it? I told you, when you saw Taj Mahal, you are stunned, you are transfixed, you are transported. You don't know where. Actually, that is the state you are coming to yourself. But temporary, of course. As I told you, then you want to take a picture and the camera is missing, then the whole thing is gone. So this secret we have to realize. that the aesthetic pleasure or the hedonistic, even hedonistic pleasure, when you eat food, the pleasure that you get is not from the food. Not from the food. If the pleasure is from the food, you can keep on eating food, isn't it? First laddu gives you joy, second laddu gives you less joy, third laddu, fifth laddu will be like a cannonball, isn't it? Or when you watch a painting, you bought a very expensive painting and hanging it on the wall. First day you look at it, take pictures and send it to everybody. After 10 days, this is ordinary. It's not worth. You don't care for that. Or you bought a car. First few days, every day when you get up in the morning, you look through the window and watch the car. If somebody scratched it, some dirt on that. And you may also do some arthi for that. After 2 years, this is junk. I don't need it. That is why it says, Pradishchanam yat navadamuvedi tadeva rupam ramaniyadaya. Things should change constantly. You need new things to be happy. Same thing doesn't become boring. Anything become boring. Things has to change. A flower should bloom in the morning and fade in the evening. Otherwise, no butterfly will come to that. If it is a plastic flower, no butterfly will come to that. It should bloom and fade in the evening. So that new flowers can come. So, pratikshanam yad navadam avedi tadeva rupam ramaniyadaya. Beauty is in change. Everything should change. And what changes continuously, actually, the Atman can manifest in 1,000,001 ways. That's the beauty of Atman. Because Atman explodes into this whole universe. That is why I said in the Yoga Sutta, you are experiencing everything as one integral web. Otherwise, there is pain, suffering. If you see the other as different from you, then there is pain and suffering. See, in Atma Sutta, two things happen. There is no desire. And you see everything as one, integral. And then you abide in yourself. That's what you said. It's a stunning experience. When you see something beautiful, it's a stunning experience. Then imagine when you come up across your own natural self. As somebody said, I searched for God, but God found me. What is it meaning? I searched for God and God found me. What is the meaning? God is not far away from you. That's the meaning of that. God is not far away. So when you contemplate an object of beauty, what happens is your thoughts end. Your mind is transfixed and get transported into a transcendental realm. And that is your own self. As somebody said, a face that launched 1,000 ships to the land of Elysium. A beautiful face. Or a beautiful scene. Launched 1,000 ships. I hope you understand the story behind it. Story behind it. Or you can refer to that. A ship, a face that launched 1,000 ships. The land of Elysium. Of course, thereafter war and fight and everything happened. So finally, beauty is in a state when you are able to observe not only nature, observe your own emotions and states of mind and abide in yourself. Then you can say, I have reached. I have come home. I am okay. I saw God. But when you see God, then you feel you are reached that state. This is the purpose of living. As we said, we have seen that the purpose of living is not in acquiring things. The purpose of living is in abiding in yourself and then interact with the world. That's how we have seen we have moved from bhoga sugha or hedonistic pleasure to aesthetic pleasure to spiritual delight. And when you come to that state, everything is delightful. Everything is meaningful. Everybody has got a place in your scheme of beauty. Because you yourself become recognized, you are the beautiful person. Then you love yourself. Then you can love everybody. So one has to recognize that beauty. So it's a beautiful words by Abhinava Gupta. In India, Abhinava Gupta was a Kashmiri Shaivite philosopher, lived in the 10th century in Kashmir. Kashmir is the most beautiful place. One of the most beautiful places in the world is the Kashmir Valley. The Dal Lake and the mountains. So Abhinava Gupta was a philosopher, lived in the 10th century. The philosopher of Kashmir Shaivite. He was also an aesthete, a connoisseur. He dwelt on what is beauty. God is the most beautiful, isn't it? Shiva is the most beautiful. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. So when you appreciate beauty, you are appreciating God only. All Indian gods are very beautiful, I tell you. All Indian gods are beautiful. Krishna is beautiful, Rama is beautiful, Shiva is beautiful. There is no ugly God. You know that Sistine Chapel, you find God touching man's hand and transferring life and energized. What a beautiful painting by Michelangelo. The Sistine Chapel in Rome. Because he could conceive that. He could metaphorize. He could give life and blood to that experience. There. So, the Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, truth or God has to be beautiful. Truth, God has to be goodness. Truth, God has to be justice. Samam Brahma. Samam Brahma. Tasmat Brahma Vida Samaha Bhavati. He sees the same God everywhere. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavigastini Shanijaiva Shubhagecha Pandidaha Samadarshina. So there is a beautiful verse by this Abhinava Gupta. He says, Rityadya Vachinna Bhagna Varna Chideva Rasaha. Even Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra is a science of beauty or aesthetic pleasure. Natya Shastra says there is a Dhyana sloga about Shiva. That Shiva is dancing. Because when you are in ecstasy, you dance. Dancing does not mean you have to physically dance. Your mind is bubbling with the joy. That's the meaning of dance. Angigam bhuvanam yasya vajigam sarvavammayam aharyam chandragat taradi gambande satyam Shiva. The dancing Shiva. When Shiva dances, he vibrates as the whole universe. As somebody said, the heart which vibrates as the whole universe. Angigam bhuvanam yasya. His body is the whole universe. When you are in a state of bliss, you become the whole universe, isn't it? Angigam bhuvanam yasya. Vajigam sarvavammayam. And your words become the Vedas or poetry. Vajigam sarvavammayam. In a state of love, whatever you say is music to the ears of your beloved, isn't it? Whatever you say. Sometimes I will kill you. I will eat you up. Even then, it is music to your beloved. Then you marry that person. Thereafter, After matrimony, start the acrimony of the same. What a pity. You are not able to continue in that state. So, God is beauty, God is beautiful. Beauty is not an adjective, it's a noun. It's the truth itself. It's the core of the universe. Beauty. The whole universe is beauty. So, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Sundaram means beauty. If God is beautiful and you are one with God, you also should be beautiful. So this Abhinavagupta says, as you go through these emotions, what are the emotions? Just 10 emotions I have said. I am adding one more emotion, Vatsalya. Actually, originally in Natya Shastra, there is only 8 emotions. Then Abhinavagupta added one more emotion, Shantarasa. When you are in the state of Shanta, Shanta means quietude, silence. Have you watched a person in deep silence? Ramana Maharshi. Such a beautiful person. Physically he was ugly. But when you observe silence, then you become beautiful. The best way to become beautiful is to keep silence, observe silence. And it is the best way to run a family also. To maintain good relationships. Just keep silence. The other person is shouting and screaming and throwing vessels and glasses and all this is happening. Pandemonium in the house. Then you keep silent. Because that may infuriate the other person. That also is possible. But then when you keep silent, the silent person is the most beautiful. Ramana Maharshi. Why silent? Because he's full and complete. That's why he's full and complete. He's beautiful. So, the truth is beautiful, truth is just, truth is goodness, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. And when we appreciate that, we come to abide in oneself. That self-abidence is the most beautiful state. There is no desire, there is no way to go. And you embrace the whole universe. You become the heart of you. You have no fear of death. There is no other for you. Because you embraced everything. He says, Angigam bhuvanam yasya vajigam sarvam vangmayam aharyam chandradharati. When you dance, your ornaments become the sun and the moon and the stars. Aharyam chandradharati. Tam vande satyam Shiva. And then that Shiva, which you are, I worship you. So, Abhinavagupta says, Vrityadi avachinna bhagnavarana chidevarasaha. These 10 emotions from 8 to 9 and 10. I add one more. Abhinavagupta added Shantarasa. And the later philosopher added Vatsalyarasa. You know, when Mother Teresa holds a sick baby to her heart, her motherly love pours and envelops the child as a warm blanket around the child. What do you feel in that when you watch that? That rasa is called Vatsalya rasa. The motherly, maternal love for the child, baby. Child is innocent, helpless. And you yourself, your heart pours out to the child. That also gives you a sense of this spiritual bliss when you watch that. So there are 10 rasas, I would say. So this Gupta says, this philosopher says, as the mind go through these rasas, Pratyadavachinna, Bhagnavarana, at the same time, you are not identified with those rasas. Generally, we identify with these moods in a state of ignorance, losing yourself. You lose yourself. Isn't it? When you're angry, you lose yourself. When you're angry, you lose yourself. You get unhinged. And call your own son, you are a son of a donkey. And the son says, Dad, you said the truth. If I am son of a donkey, you must be the old donkey, isn't it? So when you are angry, you unhinge yourself. You deviate. You are in a state of ignorance. So, Abhinavagupta says, go through all these emotions, go through the whole world, through the roller coaster of the world, no problem. Relationship, breaking relationship, making money, losing money, gaining power, losing power, developing health and losing health, becoming old, and all that. When you go through all this roller coaster of living, then you do all this and various emotions are generated in the mind. But Bhagana Avarana, that ignorance is not there. Avarana is not there. But Shema is there. Avarana is not there. And you can watch it. Bhagana Avarana. Then you are abide in the Chit. Chit means consciousness. Your Atman, yourself. Rasaha. Then you have the greatest delight and bliss, he says. Sometimes, people tell us, Swamiji, you have given up everything. You must be really miserable. And I tell them, sir, I have not given up anything. I have accommodated it. I embraced it. And I am abiding in the self. To give up means to embrace everything. That's the meaning of giving up. So you are not holding on to this little bit of things. You are not holding on to the finite. So to renounce means to embrace everything. To be happy means to abide in the self. Because that is the source of all bliss and delight. And when you are in that state, Bhagana Avarana. Avarana means there is no ignorance. You know who you are. You are the source of joy. So, Rityadi Avachinna Bhagana Avarana Chideva Rasa. Then you are in real bliss and delight and beatitude. So, I'll close this talk with a quote from one of the Indian scriptures. Kavya Shastra Vinodena Kalo Gacchadi Srimadam Dhimadam Vesanena cha Murkhanam Nidraya Kalahena cha. Intelligent people spend their time Kavya Shastra Vinodena. Kavya means the poetry, music, drama and all that. Metaphorizing life. Reading Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad, or maybe Bible or Quran. These are all Kavya Shastra. Vinodena. Kavya Shastra and Vinodena. In a playful state, Kalo Gacchadi. Intelligent people spend their life like that. Kavya Shastra Vinodena. Kalo Gacchadi Dhimada. Vesanena. Vesanena means depressed. Miserable. All the time you find a reason to be miserable. If nothing is there, you wonder why I am not miserable. There's something wrong with me. So spending his whole life in miserable thoughts, in negative thoughts, Vesanena, Murkhana, these foolish people. Murkhana. Nidraya, or sleep. Take a sleeping pill or a couple of drinks. Nidraya. Kalahena, or fight. Or fight with your wife or neighbors. Kalahena, that is how you spend your time, most of the people. So you have this choice. Would you like to spend your time in fight and sleep and sloth? Or do you want to spend your time reading good books, watching good movies, talking to good people, philosophical contemplation, disciplining yourself? Choice is yours. So, do you have freedom of choice? Yes. It's your choice. You can choose to live your life in constant misery and sleep and sloth, or you can live in eternal delight in your own self. So, your choice depends upon your understanding of beauty, the source of beauty. What is beauty? To understand beauty is to be detached. 2 levels of detachment. Then you become a beautiful person, a happy person, whether a young or old, educated or uneducated. So that is all about aesthetic pleasure. You become a connoisseur or is that meaning sahridaya. Sahridaya, be a sahridaya. Be a connoisseur of music or sahridaya. And the whole world become a music. The whole world become a poetry. The whole world become a symphony. Everything is delightful and beautiful. Even dying is a beautiful experience. Going to sleep is a beautiful experience. Everything becomes an experience of sheer delight and beauty. So that's all what aesthetic choice is concerned. Now, next talk, that's the last talk, I'll be talking about the ideological choices. Because we are a social and economic and political being as a choice maker. The body, mind, ego complex, we are part of the world, and you will be compelled to make choices, social, political, and economic choices. Those choices determine your ideologies. So I will talk about the ideological choices. Your convictions, your ideological convictions. You are a Marxist or a revolutionary or a patriot or a misogynist. Depending upon your ideological ideology, your choices also change. You may be a very spiritual person, but your ideology, if you are a Republican, then you will choose a Republican. You may be spiritual. So the ideological choices also matters as far as your choice and your personality and your destiny is concerned. Not only your destiny, your nation's destiny, your country's destiny, your family's destiny. So it is better that we discuss a little bit on that. You may say what the SWAMI has to do with economics, politics, and society and all that. But as individuals, we are compelled to make choices. And those choices will affect our spiritual experience also. So this also is very important. How our ideology influences our choices, our agency, and our freedom, etc. So we'll see you next Saturday. And that will be last talk. And next Saturday.